Hi everyone, I'm Glenda with SureFit Designs, whimsically referred to as Glenda the Good Stitch. The essence of this video today is to show you how to take a large dart and divide it so that you are putting a portion of it in another location on the bodice. Now, a few weeks ago, a customer who has a very full bust emailed me and said, Glenda, I don't like all the volume of my dart going into the side seam. And she was a double D dart. And she said, can I take some of that dart and move it to another location? And the answer is by all means, yes. And so then she said, well, do you have a video that shows me how to do that? And I said, well, no, I don't. So after today, we will have a video that's going to show you how to take this dart and divide it up, and we're going to put a portion of it in another location. In the case of this particular customer, she wanted her bust dart split in between her side seam and her armhole. So that's what I'm going to start off showing you to do. I've drawn off just a basic bodice and I've put in a double D dart. So when you take a look at the Adjust-A-Bust template, here is the double D right here. And if I line that up on the position where I've drawn it, you can see that that's the width of the double D. You might be a D, a double D, an E, or even larger. The larger you become in your bust, the wider this dart, which means the more fabric that is going to have to go down and be incorporated into that side seam. So this really is an excellent option for you to take it and divide it up. So let's see how to do that. We'll start with this dart, and one of the things that you need to know is approximately how wide is this dart? How wide is your dart? And this one is about 3 inches wide. So that's just information that we're going to use when we start maneuvering the dart and moving it around. Now, the first thing that I need to do is draw what is called the designer's dart. And so I'm going to do this in green, and what you're going to be doing is drawing long lines going from the beginning of the dart up to wherever your apex position is on your body or on your pattern. So I'm just using my line drafter. It's so handy to use this with this attached handle. It just makes maneuverability really easy. So this green dart is called the designer's dart. I'm going to be cutting that out. But before I do, I'm going to decide where would I like half of this dart to go. It could go into the armhole, into the shoulder line, the neckline, center front, or it could go into the waistline dart as well. I'm going to take half of this into the arm side. And where do you know to draw this line? Well, you can see where the position is for the single notch indicating the front armhole area. I've come up about 1 inch from that. Keep in mind, the higher up you take this, again, it's going to create a nice visual line going up on your body. I don't think you'd want to take it lower than your arm side notch because that's just a little bit too low. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is just take a little piece of tape and cover the apex up because that apex needs to become a pivotal point. And the first thing that I'm going to do is cut on those green designer dart lines, and I'm going to cut all the way through the side seam. Now, the other thing I should mention is that you'll notice that I only have the one exterior line on this pattern. It means it doesn't have the seam allowance on it yet. So that, of course, is something that you'll want to do at the very end, is add your seam allowances. I just didn't put them on because I didn't want a lot of confusing visual lines on this demonstration. So there's the regular dart. It's the designer's dart, and I'll just cut it out and leave it right there. Now I'm going to cut open on the dart line that I drew going into the armhole. and I'm going to cut all the way through the cutting line and seam line. Now basically what you want to do is take this width of dart and divide it in half, close half of it up, and put the other half in the opening in the armhole. So it will basically look like this, and you can see that my apex is the pivotal point. Now you need to put a piece of tracing vellum behind here to back these openings. So I've just got a leftover piece of tracing vellum, and you know I've told you many times not to throw out your leftover tracing vellum because you never know when it's going to come in handy for you to do something exactly what I'm doing right now. So I've backed the opening with tracing vellum, and I'm just going to measure here that it's approximately, that's 1.5 inches, and that is about 1.5 inches as well. I'll take another little piece of removable tape, and I'm just going to tape at the apex position. Now you want to tape this down really well. So let me start right here and tape that down, and tape this side down, a little bit more space right there. And oops, I'm not getting that. And I'll straddle this dart if I can. Here. Oh, see, with this removable tape, it's just so easy to lift it up and reposition it without ripping the vellum. I know you're going to absolutely love this tape. And of course, we do carry it at surefitdesigns.com. All right, so now those two darts are taped in position. So now I've taken half the dart and put it up into the armhole area. Now, you've likely heard me say many times, you never want to stitch your dart up to the tip of your apex. It just wouldn't look very flattering to have a dart stitched all the way there, particularly when you've got two darts coming into the same point. So now what you're going to do is measure back about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. I'm actually going to do this one at 1.25 inches, and you can see that I am putting that mark right in between the designer dart lines right there. And I'm going to do the same thing on that dart right there. And now I will take the line drafter and I'll make new dart stitching lines going up to my new dart stitching tip. So there's one of the darts, and that of course is the dart that's in the side seam. And here is the other dart, again drawn in red so that you can really see it. And that now is in the armhole position. Now the next thing that you want to do is called perfecting the dart. And this is actually easier done when you've got a 90-degree angle corner on your table. I don't have that right now, so I'm just going to do this the best way I can. We're going to take the bottom leg of this dart, and I'm just going to make a gentle crease right here, and I'm going to fold this in position. See, what I'm doing here is I'm taking a one-dimensional form, being the flat pattern, and I'm turning it into a three-dimensional form. And if you can hang this point over top of a 90-degree angle corner of a table, that just lets the volume of the paper lay down flat. And I actually have a video on doing this, perfecting the dart, that's a lot, I won't say clearer than this one, but it's focused directly on the perfecting the dart, and I do have a 90-degree angle corner there that I use to make it all happen properly. And at the end of this video, I'll do my best to give you a link to that dart, to that video on perfecting the dart. So now I've created this three-dimensional form, and you want to then do a straight line coming down, and I'll do this in red like that. And we also need the 5/8 inch seam allowance on here. So I'll just take the designing stylus and add on my 5/8 inch seam allowance, and you'll see why when I cut on this. I need that seam allowance there because it's going to give me the exact cutting line. So then I will take this rotary cutter. I'm just going to cut all the way up like that and remove this section, and then I can remove the removable tape. And when I unfold this, that does the perfecting of, excuse me, dropping the rotary cutter there. That does the perfecting of the dart cutting line. So you can see that's my 5/8 inch seam allowance. I would cut all the way down here and I'll follow that cut line. And then when your dart is sewn into position, it gives you the correct dart extension on the side of the dart. You would do exactly the same thing for the dart in the armhole area, is fold it into position with the bulk of the dart going downward, and then perfect the line, perfect the cutting line. So as I said, you can put this secondary dart or half of your original dart into any position that you'd like to on the bodice. Now, the customer who requested this was kind enough to send me photographs of her finished garments. And so I'm just going to show you this. This white top here actually has two darts in it, the side seam dart and the armhole dart. And you can see that she is a fairly full-busted lady. Now, she did this process that I've just shown you, and there is a view of the side seam. So you can, or the side of her body, so you can see the bust fitting dart out of the side seam is right there, and the dart coming out of the armhole is right there. Now, yes, that is fairly obvious in a solid color fabric, but she also did this in a print. And so you can see that in the print, you can hardly see any dart structure at all. So don't worry about your dart being obvious or the fact that you've now got two darts in your bodice. If you need the two darts, use them and be comfortable with it. And depending on your fabric, you may never see that. Now, another thing that you can do with your dart structure is, as I've done on this garment here, this is called the high-low hem swing top. And you can see how full it is at the hemline. So what I've done, I don't know if I can move this for you here. What I've done is I've taken that bust fitting dart right here, I've closed it up, and I've put the whole dart going down into the waistline. And where you're going to see the directions for that are on page 38 and 39 of the dress kit instruction book, and it's called the high-low hem swing top. And you might be able to see this here, where I have taken the bust fitting dart, I've closed it, and I've opened it up in the hemline. Plus I've added a little extra flaring on the bottom. Well, again, from a customer, she said she had a large bust. She took the whole dart and put it down into the hemline, and now she didn't like how full it was at the hemline. So a great alternative is to do something like I've shown you here. Take the dart, leave half of it in the side seam, and then put the other half of it down into the hemline, so it doesn't make the hem quite so full. So always remember with SureFit Designs, you do have a lot of choices on how you can design with your pattern. So what else did I want to tell you? I think that's about it for this particular lesson, but I would encourage you to make sure that you join our SureFit Designs community, particularly if you haven't joined us already. And you can do that in 3 very easy steps. Number 1 is make sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is just SureFit Designs. And the reason is because when I add new videos, you'll be able to be informed of them and watch them and see if there's something that's of benefit to you. Secondly, we do have an excellent Facebook group. If you happen to be a Facebook member, you're going to be requesting, you go to our Surefit Designs, no, you don't do that at all. You go to facebook.com/groups/Surefit Designs, and there you will see to request to join our private group. Please make sure you answer all 3 questions in order to be approved. And then the third way to be a part of the Surefit Designs community is to participate in our newsletter and receive our newsletter. So there you will go to surefitdesigns.com, and on any page that you land on, there will be one of those little pop-ups come up, and you can just enter your name and email address, and there are 4 free gifts to get you started. So with that, I would like to say thank you so much for watching, and I do hope that I'll see you in our next video.